This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day. Carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Fully Managed podcast. Thank you, John, for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Alrighty, so John, today we're going to start with a game. This is probably my favorite one to do because it definitely promotes some very bizarre and creative answers. So this is how we're going to go. Okay, so Ask Bosco is supposed to help people market things better and be able to have better leads. So what I want to understand is how you are at marketing. So what we're going to do is, this game is called Market Me This. I'm going to give you a very bizarre, maybe absurd product, and you are just going to develop a quick plan for me off the top of your head of what would you do personally to market this item. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it.
Beautiful. I know that marketing campaigns are very lengthy, so you don't have to go so into depth, but like your favorite part of the process, maybe you can highlight.
Yeah.
Sound good? Alrighty. So this product is glow-in-the-dark coffee cups. Give me your marketing campaign.
Okay, so I'm a big coffee fan. I think everybody needs a glow-in-the-dark coffee cup, especially if you're like me and you get up early before the light is up. So I think it would solve all those needs of hunting around in the dark or your coffee in the morning and your cup in the morning. You can just open the cupboard. There's your cup. So it saves stumbling and walking around. I've never heard of a glow-in-the-dark coffee cup before, but I think if we were going to market that, you'd have to be targeting early risers, entrepreneurs, or those staying up late at night that are working in sort of dark rooms, maybe developing code and that sort of stuff. And I suppose, does it change glow-in-the-dark levels with when it's full or whether it's empty? That could be a good feature.
Help market.
Yeah, that's a good feature. And if I was going to be launching that, I'd be looking at identifying audiences within entrepreneurs, maybe developers, and then people who work hard in front of screens late at night or early in the morning. And I'd probably start with some upper funnel stuff to build the brand. And then I'd be moving down the funnel to sort of try and create some brand awareness. So then people would be searching for our product, and then we try and pick them up in retargeting and search, and then hopefully measuring it all to prove some return on investment for our new product launch. If we had the budget, I'd do some out of home, maybe some TV to find these people where they're hanging out. But and that's actually nowadays a lot more affordable and more accessible than people think. So I think, we want to start by building the brand, selling the story, highlighting the problem that we're fixing, and then hopefully as we work down the funnel, we'll create some actual search demand that we can then convert.
I think that was genius. You did that so quickly on the spot. I think we definitely tested your marketing skills. Yeah, the glow-in-the-dark coffee cup, my first thought was this would be really good for people that are really crunching in the dark room at night, either at their office or at their home office. And maybe they're drinking a little too much caffeine, but maybe they're less
likely. Not too much caffeine.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how much too much is. But if you're drinking in the middle of the night, maybe it's not the best choice for you. But there's crunch time. But I think that will help maybe spills, maybe you won't lose all your work that you've been working on all night while drinking this beverage or all morning. So I think that was a fantastic plan. Thank you so much for participating in my silly little game.
No worries.
Well, now I want to get to more of Ask Bosco and your vision behind this. So what I like to start with, especially with a founder, is, when was your aha moment? What made you want to create this? What problem did you see? what solutions did you think of, and why did you come up with this?
Yeah, so in my background, I've been fortunate enough to be part of the leadership team and scaled and exited a couple of different large performance agencies. Mm-hmm. And when we were running those agencies, there was a couple of things I noticed and saw. One was all clients want different bespoke reports, and they've all got different requirements. And most good agencies, like the two previously that I was involved with, we'd want to keep our clients happy. So we'd start developing different reports and different things for everybody. And that then creates almost like a mini industry inside the agency where you're constantly building, managing, and maintaining all these bespoke different reports. And it almost becomes like a Frankenstein monster over time. And you've got super smart people using quite expensive, clever tech that arguably aren't generating you any revenue as an agency. And in order to keep your clients happy, and clients sort of just expect that, right? So that's one of the sort of challenges. They expect good reporting. And so that was like a thing that was happening. But then also between agencies and brands, what I've seen happen in real time with clients is there's often a mismatch in visibility of data. So clients might be looking at one thing, agencies looking at a different thing, and then you might be having a QBR or a meeting where the first 10 minutes of the meeting are like, well, I'm looking at different data. So I wanted to try and create a uniform sort of standard of, right, these are the numbers we can trust, and everybody's got accessibility and visibility, and we're all looking at the same numbers, but across multiple channels. Right, so the one part was sort of simplifying reporting, and that was to give the client a better experience of the agencies or the brands themselves direct, or if they've got an in-house team, for instance, but also to reduce time, reduce effort, and make things easier. Because if you're in a marketing agency, you're spending hours every Monday morning churning through different things to connect different things together to produce these reports. And most people have got some sort of homemade solution that often breaks, and then you need to rely on a clever person to help you fix it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, surely with machine learning and AI and data connectivity, speed of compute power, we must be able to fix this. Yeah. And then there was two other moments. So that was like one thing. The other thing, I used to love a product called Hitwise years ago. There used to be this like single metric benchmarking product called Hitwise that would sort of tell you how good your website and online visibility versus other people's. And that got bought by Experian. Experian killed it over time. And I was like, surely we can invent something that pulls in loads of third-party data and ranks your online visibility versus your peers. So we worked out how to do this, and we've now created the Ask Bosco index. So brands can quickly see where do they rank overall in online visibility, and then in particular channels across paid, organic, upper funnel marketing, and then overall website health. So if you're on a board or you're trying to explain to your boss why you need more money because you're getting outgunned by your competitors, this can help give you some context. So the reporting side sort of tells you what happened across all your channels all neatly lined up together. The second bit is, well, how are we doing compared to the market? So it gives you some sort of pulse check of where we're doing well, are the market doing well, are we outpacing our competition? And then the next bit, which was inspired by a product we built at my previous agency, Summit Media, where we built this tool for a big British retailer called Argos to help them to predict where to spend their money on Google Shopping. Mm-hmm. And we thought, we'll turn this into a product when we're at Summit, and we did. But it needed so much data for it to work. Every time I found a new customer, it was like, they don't have enough data. It's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And Argos was spending north of sort of $2 million a month on media. So they were investing a reasonable amount of money. And it was great for them because they had so much data, and they had 65,000 products, 800 stores. There's so much data. Whereas I was thinking, well, wouldn't it be great if we could build something like we built at Summit, but it worked for all brands who were spending maybe only $10,000 a month or $50,000 a month. And it also not only just worked on Google Shopping, it also worked on Facebook, it worked on Google Ads, it worked on TikTok, and it worked. So actually, the big question we want to try and help people answer is, where should I spend my next dollar, my next pound, my next euro? But that all really starts by the beginning, connecting all your data into one place, organizing it, benchmarking against competition, and then predicting what to do next. So, and we've been doing this quite a long time, and it's only in the last couple of years when everybody's got their head around AI, and actually this is maybe a thing that sometimes timing in business is everything, that everybody's starting to trust machines to give them sort of recommendations. So that moment happened about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who was the founder of Skyscanner, which is a big online flight booking recommendation engine. And he's like, you're going to need some money to do that properly. So he came on board and became an investor. We've now got over 350 clients using the technology, and we're helping people save time, be more effective, understand their market better, but more importantly, understand exactly where to spend their money to get the best outcome, whether that's more leads or more sales or whatever it is they're trying to drive. So that's what we do. I suppose the big thing for me, Shannon, it's tech built by marketeers for marketeers. Mm-hmm. It's not just tech built for tech's sake. Yes. We used to live and own this problem, and now we've built something to try and help both brands doing it in-house and agencies doing it on behalf of brands.
Yeah, I think there's something that is very wise about making sure that you're creating it for the interest group in which that you are serving. I know that sounds like a very simple concept, but I think that there's many tools that are created that don't necessarily keep their, like, the group in which they're trying to solve the problem for in mind. So, and it might not just be that they didn't come up with a proper solution for this group of people, but rather they didn't incorporate like their minds of like how they think about things when creating the tool, and that's something that you really need to factor in as well.
I know I've had conversations with developers, front-end developers and designers going, oh no, it's got to look like this is the best way for it. And I go, yeah, but that's not how the customer...
But marketers don't look at it like that.
They don't look at their data that way. They look at it this way because they're used to seeing it in GA4 that way, or they're used to seeing it in AdWords that way. So that, and we have a lot of people in our development team and customer success team are actually ex-agency, like account managers, account directors. So they've lived the problem, so they really understand. So if you phoned up or got in touch with our customer success team, everybody on that team has actually been an account manager at an agency and understands this isn't just they understand what the data problem might be, but also what's the impact in terms of the channels. And I think that's unusual for a sort of SaaS business to have those practitioners within the business who actually understand the client's problem.
Is there any challenges that you found that Ask Bosco actually solved that you didn't expect it to when creating the product?
I've never thought of it that way. Well, I suppose initially we were really just excited about solving the problem of like where to spend your money, reduce. Because ultimately, right, if you go for a meeting with Google, Google say spend more money with Google. If you go for a meeting with Facebook, they say spend more money with Facebook. And if you're a brand, you just want to know where to spend your money. So we were really focused on that side of the problem. Mm-hmm. But then what we realized very quickly is in order to solve that problem, we need to ingest all your data into one place, organize it and line it all up next to each other, which sounds super simple. But actually, when you extract the data from Google AdWords or GA4 or Meta or Amazon or TikTok, all the columns have similar meanings, but all labeled differently, organized differently. So actually organizing all that data and putting it into one simple place so you've got a single view of everything all lined up next to each other was just part of what we had to do in order to answer the last question of where to spend my money. And actually, that's been super useful and helpful. And actually, we have a lot of clients who just buy the reporting. Mm-hmm. I didn't ever think that was going to be a thing. And I suppose at the beginning, I thought we were going to build a tool to help brands who've got multiple agencies to have everything in one place, or brands who wanted to have a bit more insight so they could have more challenging and robust conversations with their agencies. But actually, it's helping agencies save a huge amount of time, and agencies are buying it to use on behalf of the clients so they can free up time from doing sort of, I suppose, execution work on data. They can let the machine do that, and they can focus on strategy and planning and more sort of creative work rather than crunching numbers. And I suppose we hadn't really thought that was going to be a problem we were solving when we first set off. But actually our biggest section of clients are agencies who invest in it for their clients, as well as brands who want to come and improve their marketing direct. So I suppose that's something we've learned along the way, and I'm sure there's going to be loads more things we'll learn as it evolves.
I love a story where you kind of end up serving a group that you didn't expect, because it's something that is really interesting when you market or create a product with a specific ICP in mind, and then you realize that, oh, this is actually helping a group that I didn't expect. It's just a fun thing that happens in marketing a lot, and those are my kind of favorite stories to hear about, because it happens way more often than people think, and it's like a fun way to pivot and learn more about like what that interest group could be that you're serving.
Yeah, and I suppose the other bit which we're getting into now is, and again, we never thought this was going to be a thing, but Shopify, for e-commerce clients, Shopify's come in like a juggernaut. And for those who know Shopify, it's an exceptional e-commerce tool and loads of really great features and functions to represent your product and sell your product well. But the reporting is lacking. And we haven't really realized it's clunky. You can't line things up. So we're in the process of going, well, hang on, we've got this amazing reporting engine that we built. Can we not just embed that in Shopify and have a button in Shopify where you press it and you just self on board? And again, we hadn't really thought that was going to become a thing, but a lot of and I think the thing here, Shannon, is listening to your clients of like, what do they need? And the other big challenge we all face in marketing now is the lack of, or the deprecation of the cookies and tracking over time and being able to line everything up. So having access to all your first party data in one place alongside all your marketing data actually is quite complicated and hard and might require a load of expensive tools and a data scientist, data analyst. Whereas actually we built this thing, and if you're on Shopify, you can just press a button and get everything all in the same place. Not yet. In a few, I was told a few hours ago, in a few weeks. So, but that's again something we will have a fully self-service, self-enabled inside Shopify platform, because that's what customers are asking for. So I think it's about listening to the market, listening to your customers, and trying to help them answer their questions.
Yeah, no, and even speaking of that, how do you kind of, because there's many AI tools that have been introduced, and I think that a lot of people get overwhelmed with like having to learn them and like figure out what ones would be most helpful to them. Like, how do you balance making AI-driven insights while also making them accessible to like smaller companies or agencies, like especially that group that you didn't expect to be?
So our thing. So there's, I suppose, three different elements of AI within our platform. At one end, you can just chat to your data in the same way you would chat within Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini. So you can just ask it questions, but it's only trained on your data. And you can also, one of the nicest things I think that our guys have built in is you can just go, what questions can I ask you? Right. And then it says, here's all the questions you can ask about your data. And then you go, right, I get it now. And you can even like talk to it. So if you're a marketer and you're driving to work or you're on the train or whatever, and you could actually just have a chat with Ask Bosco and go, right, what was sales yesterday? How much did we spend? What drove the best ROAS? And it will just tell you all the answers. Then you arrive at work and you know what you're going to have to do for that first meeting of the day. So that's one. And we built it in a way that looks and feels like you would expect from getting used to a ChatGPT interface or a Gemini interface. But it's all trained on your data. And then I suppose at the other end, we actually built our own models, because I think everybody thinks AI is all about just about the large language models, right? And that's brought it to everybody's attention. But AI and machine learning and predictive analytics have been around for decades. And we've got some data scientists who've been doing this for decades in marketing and in data. So our predictive engine is unique to us. And we're now incorporating other models on top of that so that we're getting the best of our knowledge and experience plus whatever's the best in market. So it's not one of those products that's just a wrapper. It's actually got its own sort of engine and IP in it. But yeah, it's exciting times in AI. I can go on something like Lovable or Replit and I can build my own software, and I'm not a developer. But I think that's both exciting and scary, because is that going to, if you're dealing with your client's data and you're dealing with lots of numbers and spend and everything, you want something that's secure, that's robust, that's genuinely enterprise ready, and I suppose super easy to use. So our big thing is, if you're an agency, it's like how much of your time gets distracted by a client asking a question that actually, if they just looked in a dashboard and they could just ask it, right? So that's something that's super cool. And then a byproduct of this, Shannon, which is we've only just started to see in the back end of the platform, we can see all the questions that everybody's asking. Right, so that can give us product ideas and ways to go forward. But we can also, if you're an agency, you can, and you're letting your clients log in, you can see all the questions your clients are asking. So then you can almost get in the mind of your clients and go, well, why are they asking that? We don't even look after Facebook. Maybe we should be talking to them about improving and supporting them on Facebook. Maybe we could sell them some Facebook support or whatever it is. So, so I think AI is some people might say even overwhelming at the moment, but what we're trying to do within our platform is keep it simple and keep it obvious, and also in a way where it can't hallucinate. It is just trained on your data, and if it doesn't know the answer, it will just say, I don't know the answer to that, but are you looking for this? And we've sort of built in a trust layer that says, here's the question I think you're asking. This is the data I'm using to answer that question. Here's your answer. And then you can ask follow-up questions and have a conversation with it. Because for me, there's still an element of trust, accuracy. And when you're dealing with data and numbers, you've got to get the right answer and you've got to get the right numbers. You can't make up how much we sold yesterday.
Yeah. Well, speaking of trust, because I think the first thing when I think of like asking about data or like any tools that you are kind of putting your trust in for like confidentiality reasons, of like something that is helpful in like providing data, but also taking in data. Is there any worry that people have when like inquiring about using your product of like security issues or anything like that? And how do you kind of like speak to them about?
We have a lot of questions about security, and we've got a lot of, all our data is held in Google BigQuery. It's all compliant with the best practices you would expect. So I suppose we've set this up. It's not sat on my PC or my laptop in the corner. We deal with global companies, and it's millions and millions of rows of data. And it also depends on where you are based. There's different data laws and governance, but we're not holding, I suppose, personally identifiable data. So we haven't got credit card details. We haven't got that sort of stuff. So from that point of view, it's relatively low risk, but we do have like all the marketing data, the transaction data, the ability to then help you manage all your marketing plans and your customers and your orders and your products. But it's not that sort of individual. We're not holding anybody's credit card details. So, but yeah, from a security point of view, we've got all the best practice, high level Google Cloud security setup, because you'd have to, otherwise we wouldn't be able to work with the clients we work with. Yeah,
no, you definitely have to ensure them a level of security. I just, I was curious about how many inquiries maybe you get, because it's something that I think is at the forefront of someone's mind, especially if they're if founders are extremely protective over what they've worked for. And I've dealt with many and deal with my own, so I completely understand the worry about it. So I'm like, I was just worried about wondering about how those conversations go.
Yeah, well, I think because they can see who our clients are, and we can give documentation. Yeah, we often have clients go, you've got to speak to someone in IT, you've got to speak to someone here, and you've got to fill out this survey. And we haven't had one yet that we haven't lost any business because our platform's not secure enough.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Well, moving on to how Ask Bosco has kind of adapted over time, because like there, as you may know, there's everything, technology is constantly changing, especially in marketing, so rapidly. What is like the biggest pivot you've made, you said about 5 years, Ask Bosco has been around. how have you kind of adapted in a large way during that time?
I suppose the main bit is incorporating proper conversational AI into the data layer. So initially it was nice dashboards, and our biggest sort of USP used to be, well, you can drill down into your dashboard and you can see the underlying data. And everybody was like, oh, that's better than Looker Studio, or that's better than Tableau or Power BI or whatever, or a spreadsheet. And that used to be quite interesting and exciting, but it was still quite static, but you could go deep into the data. So one thing we did initially was, well, there's a peak in the graph. Well, what if I could right-click that graph and drill down just into that? Or what if I could pick 2 peaks on the graph and analyze the trend, or what was the causal effect of that? Mm-hmm. So what was the change effect? So we built some models to do that. And then as large language models were getting better and better, we've incorporated full conversations, so you can just talk to your data. And actually you could build new dashboards by just talking to your data. You could just say, show me sales week on week for this product line, and it gives you a graph, and then you could pin that graph, and actually by talking to the computer or asking it questions, you can actually build your own regular dashboards and then save those, and then it will update those, and then if you want those on a Monday morning, it will just drop them into your Slack or into your inbox. So it's trying to think about how people are working. And my view of the world, Shannon, is the answer to more insight and a better run business isn't necessarily more dashboards and more graphs. Right? Even though we're in the dashboard graph business, it's actually about giving the founders, the entrepreneurs, the CMOs, the finance directors access to the data in a simple and easy way, so they don't have to raise a ticket with a data analyst or a dashboard team to give them what they want. They can just talk to their data. Yeah. So that's probably been the biggest change in the last year. We've got a lot more plans. We're going to be building some more sort of agent type stuff so that you can then connect Ask Bosco to other things. And then we're going to be sort of embedding Ask Bosco, as we talked about with Shopify, into other platforms, because that's the other thing I'm seeing with AI. It's you're going to be less going to a certain LLM. The LLMs will be integrated into everything else. And I think that's the way. It's like everybody's like, well, and I'll give you a case in point in marketing. Everybody's like, well, do you use Gemini to generate pictures for ads? Well, no, because Canva's already got LLM in it. And why wouldn't I just use Canva, because I was already using Canva? Right. It's people need the AI inside the tools they're already using, I think. And I suppose the bit I'm comfortable and confident with is because we consolidate maybe 10 to 12 different dashboarding tools into one place and then overlay the AI so you can interrogate everything in one place. Even if all the tools integrated AI, you're still not going to have it all in one place. Yeah. So unless Google buys Facebook and buys Amazon, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. There's just, it's a tool that simplifies while also shows value. And I think that that's what clients and agencies alike are looking for, is the best version of their data. Like
the sort of big vision long term is like, imagine a world where the agency goes into pitch and they can say, oh, this is all our credentials, here's our case studies, here's our stories, and you can trust us because we use Ask Bosco because there's complete visibility and transparency in our data. Or the flip side, the agency goes into pitch, they go, we love you, we love your story, we love your strategy, but we want you to use our Ask Bosco because we trust the numbers in that. And it almost becomes like the trip advisor for sort of marketing and online data, whether that be lead gen or e-com. And it hopefully just becomes like, well, what does Ask Bosco say?
Yeah, exactly. That is a lovely dream to have, and I hope that it is achieved.
It's not just a dream, Shannon.
It's a reality. It's becoming a reality. Yeah. It's happening, especially with the Shopify.
Oh, I was on Do Not Disturb. Sorry.
No, I had the same.
I nearly got there. Why is that still? I'm still on Do Not Disturb. Why is that happening?
So am I. We're human beings. It's okay. We have too many notifications, but no, I think that's a lovely like what to look forward to as well, because it's always, even to round out the podcast, this is the best part, is to round out the podcast to be forward looking, because I always want people to have a hopeful vision for the future always. If you had any amount of money to do something with Ask Bosco that you dream of, what would it be?
Well, that's a good question. I think the big thing for me is we're currently just focused on the marketing end of things. But it's like, if you're a brand, whether that's a B2B brand or a B2C brand, you've got so much other data. So you might have warehouse data, you might have stock data, you might have store data, you might have finance data. And we started in marketing because that's where people spend a lot of money and they really want to understand it. But there's so much other legacy, terrible business information reporting platforms and BI tools and that are expensive to maintain from a licensing and a people point of view. So I'd love Ask Bosco to become like the hub of truth across your whole business, where it's pulling in the finance data, it's pulling in the logistics data, it's pulling in the returns data, the reviews data, the payment systems data. And it's like, well, that is the source of all truth and knowledge within my business. So that's where we'd like to get to.
I would love that. I think that there is something to be said about transparency in any kind of business format, because I think, especially with agencies, that's a word that comes up way more often than I would even think, because many people are clients of agencies, get burned, or they don't see the data in which they're looking for, or they don't have visibility for what's being done. And so to have a product like yours be able to show all of that in an understandable and digestible way for anyone is the dream.
Yeah, there's one other I've forgotten. Well, we're actually working on this at the moment. So it's like you've got all this data, but it's all data. And Ask Bosco can now give you like an AI overview. So it can give you a summary of your data in words. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering, well, why don't we put that into a more simple format and either send you an alert on your Slack or send you an email with, right, here's the weekly performance, but with some commentary, with some benchmarking against your competitors, but in a easy to digest verbal format with the right data in, rather than just tables and numbers, with some recommendations on what to do next. And then what about if it could just do a button and go, produce my board report or produce my trading KPI report for Monday morning? And we're working on all those sorts of things now, because that's technology that is available and we can just link it all up. But what underlies that is having accurate data that people trust.
Is there any worry about creating or having recommendations of what to do, only because of like the possible backlash if it doesn't work out, in which,
I still think we need a human in the loop. I don't think we're at the point yet where we can say, move this money from this campaign, because we get down to an individual campaign level and we'll say, right, stop spending on this campaign in Google PPC, move it to Meta, because we think your objective to attract more new customers is going to work better that way. Mm-hmm. So we still have a human in the loop to check and validate that. But the future probably will be, do you want to put it on auto? Mm-hmm. Right, that's quite scary. And then, I might have to get bigger insurance in that scenario. Mm-hmm. But Google as a platform is already spending your money using AI. Meta as a platform is already spending your money using AI. But because they're Google and Meta, you sort of just let them do that.
Yeah.
And your agency has a lot of that, is just watching it. Whereas why is this any different? Because what we're actually doing is taking and arbitraging between the two platforms to maximize your budget. So, there's a lot of, you need to have a proof points around the recommendations. And then over time, people begin to trust it more. And they realize, actually, that's saving us a load of planning time. That's giving us opportunities to run scenarios. What if we were to spend this? What if we spend that? What if our target was that? And then it can run multiple scenarios in seconds, rather than some super clever person having to build loads of spreadsheets and pivot tables and complex models. So, I think as people trust AI more, this will become more normal.
Yeah, it saves time and money, and it also is. I think it just comes down to people being more used to trusting a platform, and like to make decisions for them, or at least make educated decisions.
And I think it's like, well, what more interesting and exciting things can I now do with the time that this platform saved me? Right? Mm-hmm. This is about this is hopefully going to replace the boring work that you didn't like doing of copying and pasting data and checking it's all right. You can now do some more creative strategy planning, proactive work to think about, well, what should we do next?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that was a perfect way to end the podcast because we're a little over time, but I had an incredible time learning about this tool. I love, I just get really excited about anything that's even relatively new to me, especially if it solves problems in which I personally even deal with. So I really appreciate not only all of the knowledge in which you brought to the table, but just being able to learn about something new today. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching. Please check out John Readman in the description as well as Ask Bosco. And thank you for joining us. Bye, everyone.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.